What is going on in the real estate market here in Estonia? Hello to everyone. My name is Elari Tamm and I am the CEO and a partner of Arco Vara Real Estate Agency. And it's good to have you. We are giving you in a 30-40 minutes overview about the Estonian real estate market. And I have invited some colleagues to join me. Hello, Joshua.
Hello, Elari. Good to see you. Hey, Mihkel.
And Mihkel Eliste.
Hello, everybody.
Joshua, you are the real estate agent here in Tallinn. We are recording this on Monday. So how was your weekend?
My weekend was great. I actually went to one of the most amazing houses I've ever seen in Tallinn this weekend. I think it even got the official concrete building of the year prize, like in 2019 or something like that. So it was really amazing. I had a sauna and a pool there. It was really nice.
Beautiful. So you had a fun over there.
I had a good time.
Okay, Mihkel, I know I want to have the same question for you, but I know that you are our licensed real estate appraiser. So I know you guys have a lot of work now. Did you really have fun your weekend, or you had work?
I had both.
Beautiful. So I
Combo
think
breaker.
yeah. I think they say that the work and the family balance is not possible, but you just proved it is possible to have the balance between work and family and your own time. Okay, thank you guys for joining me. What we hope to accomplish in these 30-40 minutes is just to give the overview about local market in Estonia and talk about Tallinn and Tartu, which are both most active actually in the real estate terms. So, but I want to begin with a very simple question, Mihkel, to you. So, just to give the sight to every listener who are just interested about the Estonian real estate market, are we currently in a buyer's market or seller's market?
Well, it's definitely a seller's market because buyers don't have much of a chance to ask down on asking prices these days because supply is quite limited, especially in the segment of new properties. But the number of offerings has gone down also in the secondary market, and that's a trend all over Estonia. So supply is limited. Are we in Tallinn or Tartu or any other small city in Estonia? But construction activity has started to rise significantly, especially in Tallinn. So I think this trend will soon cover most of Estonia, but especially Tartu, which is the first one to show a major increase in activity, usually when we start to see such trends in Tallinn.
All right. So it's a good time to sell because the prices are going up. So Joshua, you are acting in mostly in the Tallinn area in Harjumaa. So what do you see here going on? The same as Mihkel described.
So yeah, I completely agree with Mihkel. People are desperate to buy something right now, and I think that the sellers kind of realize that, and they use that for their advantage. I know. I just had a client tell me that the price on the listing was, I think, 175,000, and in a couple hours the price had gone to like 185,000 because the owner had just realized that, okay, this is way too cheap and I have too many people calling me right now. So I think it's really hard to be a buyer in this market, and that kind of proves even more that you need somebody on your team. You need somebody with you, somebody to help you, maybe even get some listings that aren't on the market yet. So I'm glad that I can be of help to a lot of people already to help them find their home.
Yeah, I kind of remember, Mihkel, you described the same situation by appraising some property, and just in a few hours the price increased like, I don't know, 25-30%. Is that something I remember correctly?
We've had similar cases where somebody had an valuation done, and then they agreed on doing the transaction, but then the seller just flipped out and said, I have a new price, and if you don't like this, we'll just cancel the transaction. There's just so many callers and so many potential buyers, so the market has quite an euphoric activity. Like people are not rational, I'd say.
Yeah, it feels like that way, but let's get a little bit back, like a year back, and then the COVID hit us just more than now a year back. So Mihkel, just by numbers, how hard did COVID hit our real estate market?
Well, last year in April and May, quite significantly. If the impact of the COVID epidemic would have lasted longer, this would have had a major downtrend in the real estate market. But what we saw last year, that was just temporary. We saw a very rapid recovery in the second half of the year, and that was a global trend, not in just Estonia or the Baltics.
Okay. Yeah, and what else we see after the COVID, or just not after, but we are kind of leaving it behind, hopefully, is that the market is growing and supplies are decreasing, and that means that the prices are increasing, and as we began also increasing very quickly. Joshua, let's talk about Tallinn market a little bit. What do we get if the buyer has, let's say you have 100,000 euros currently, and you want to have a one-bedroom apartment here in the city area? Is that still possible here, or is you should get that in Keila or Saue already?
So 100K, I think that'll get you a fairly nice one-bedroom apartment in a fairly decent area too. If you take that same money and move outside of the city to, I don't know, Christina even, you can probably get a nice two-bedroom apartment already. But if you want to stay central, I think 100K will get you a good one-bedroom apartment in a good condition, or you can get a bigger one in a little bit worse condition. Maybe have to get your hands a little bit dirty, go to a construction store and get some tools. But if you want to move in, go by the store and get some food and just move in with your hands in your pockets, then 100K will get you a nice small, maybe 25-30 square meter apartment in a central location. Okay.
But let's talk about if the foreigners want to buy here a property. Is that easy to do? As we know that we are very online and e-oriented country, but is it still that easy and available for anybody?
Yeah, I just met a really nice African guy. Shout out to all the Africans who are watching. And he asked me that same question. He said that, okay, as a foreigner, I'd really like to buy something, but is it possible to get a loan even to buy it? And I know that there's some more conservative banks here in Estonia. There's some more liberal banks. I can definitely help you guys get in touch with those. But I think the main thing is that your official salary arrives into an Estonian bank here in Estonia. Then it's just easy for the bank to see that everything is very transparent, and they can move forward with getting you a loan. Also, it's really important that you have your residence permit. And one thing that the bank might do is that they might just increase the percentage of the down payment that you have to make to buy the place. But I was talking with Mihkel about it earlier, and he said that in some cases, even some foreigners qualify for the Kredex support. So that's really good. Basically, you can decrease your own input by about 10%. So.
Okay, so if anybody just listening and wants to buy a property here in Estonia, there is a way, but you might need to go through some mess that need to be done. And also probably you need to prove your money. It's not if it's not in Estonia, or your income does not come to in Estonia, so you have to prove your money. So this is a big deal in everywhere now. Okay, Mihkel, let's talk about numbers a little bit. Transactions done last month. You have the numbers, of course. You are our numbers guy. So what is the transactions? Let's talk about the whole Estonia now. I know that in your market overview there is data that 50,000 sales deals were done last year, which was 2.45% more than 2019. What is going on in 2021?
Yeah, well, if we look at the first 5 months of this year, we are seeing more transactions, especially in the housing market. If we look at other segments like the office market or retail businesses, then the number of transactions over there is low. So the growth has only come from the housing market, and this is driving the number of transactions up this year. So we're probably going to see a higher level of transaction activity than last year or even 2017, which was the recent high.
Okay. What about new buildings? Is that new developments around the cities, is that growing or decreasing? As we have said, we spoke just that supplies are decreasing, but do we see new buildings raise in the near future?
Yeah, this is already happening, but since building is a quite slow process, it takes some time. But if we look at the number of offerings on the market, it has already started to grow. We have almost 20% more offerings on the market than in March, for example, if we talk about Tallinn. But yes, the number of new apartments is quite limited. Since in the beginning of the year, we had about 2,500 apartments and terraced apartments, or terrace buildings apartments, how you should call them in English, in Tallinn and in its neighboring areas. But in the beginning of the second quarter, we already had like 1,500 only of them. So the demand has been quite high. At the same time, about 1,500 new apartments were reported to have started building in Tallinn, and we haven't seen such a level of construction activity in the last 12 years. So this is quite significant, and I think it will continue in the second and third quarter because the market is quite optimistic, and I think developers might even start to build too many new projects because there's just too much noise on the market that everything is so wonderful. But I think this might not be so long lasting.
Yeah, every professional analyst needs to be a little bit pessimist as well. I hear that. And Joshua, you as a salesman, I see a whole different story, but you, the positivity firsthand. But let's talk about the rental market here in Tallinn. We have seen that after the COVID hit, the prices went down, and the more units came to the market. What is going on currently? Do you see more active rental market, or it's the same?
Yeah, it's getting a little bit more active. I think, but at the same time, I think that there's a lot of people who have been on hold for their short-term renting and have gone to long-term renting. Now with the restrictions getting a little bit easier, a little bit softer, then I think that those people will want to go back to their short-term rental spaces and renting them out for Airbnb or whatever, and that will decrease the amount of offerings of listings on the market, which might make the ones that will be left there a little bit more exclusive. There might be a little bit more fighting over who gets what, but at the moment I feel that there's a huge oversaturation of listings, and it should be pretty easy to find a place that you like in your budget, and the amount of the amount of listings has made the prices go a little bit lower too. So that's what we've seen during the COVID pandemic, is that the prices have decreased. I don't know what you would say, Mihkel, but I would say around 15 to 20% for sure.
What do you, Mihkel, say?
Yeah, in Tallinn, like on average, it has probably been like 15%. But there's areas, for example, Tallinn's old town, where we're even seeing like prices drop up to 50% because such properties had a low liquidity level even before the pandemic. So it's just become harder to rent them out when there's no tourists at all. But Tallinn is recovering from the shock in the rental market a lot slower than, for example, in Tartu or smaller Estonian cities. We still have about 100% more number of listings on the market than before the pandemic. But if we look at southern Estonia, like Tartu, for example, then we're just up about 30 or 40% more than before the pandemic. But mainly this has been driven by the fact that unemployment in the service sector in Tallinn is much higher than Tartu, for example, because there's just more hotels, more tourism in Tallinn than in southern areas of Estonia. But I think this will recover in the coming 2 years, for example. But since the sentiment in the market today is such where there's a lot of investment activity. In the first quarter of this year, we saw more investment activity than any year before in the last 12 years in Tallinn. So this means that a lot of people are placing money in real estate. And for example, like every third apartment probably was sold for the renting business in the first quarter. But we haven't seen such a trend yet in Tartu, where the level of investment is quite the same as last year. But I think this will start to go up in the coming months because prices have grown pretty rapidly in Tallinn, and this will probably start to hit other areas of Estonia soon as well.
And probably the reason that university students will start coming back to Tartu will also probably increase the amount of people who want to rent spaces there.
Yes, exactly. And that's a trend where you think like when comparing Tallinn to Tartu, there's not a lot of college students, but they make up quite a decent amount of the rental market in Tartu. But Tartu's rental market has recovered more quickly than Tallinn, which is like strange. It doesn't make sense quite in a way. But that's just because the level of investment activity in Tallinn has just been so high in the recent quarters that this just keeps the number of listings on the rental market so high.
I just remember that Mihkel said that there are no tourists at all, and at the same time you said it, I actually saw from a office window 2 tourists moving. So there are some tourists around us or getting back to Tallinn too, and hopefully this summer is going to have the game changer for the real estate market here, also from the perspective of tourists. Okay, Josh, what do you see? Are the prices increasing? If people are asking, is it right time to buy, or I should just see after the mess is gone, I'm going to buy then? Or what would you say as a real estate agent? Do you see the prices going, because the supplies are down? We see that, and the question is that should I buy now or wait? And what's going to happen then? What's your perspective?
So like every market, everything goes as a wave and goes up and down, up and down. But I think Mihkel can confirm this, but we always see the prices going up and down, but the wave always increases and is always getting higher. So if you think that in a year or two the prices might drop, yeah, they might drop, but in a couple months after that, they might increase to even a higher level than they are right now. So if you're buying a home, then I think it's always a good time to buy, because it's not an investment. It's a long-term like placement of your money. You're going to live there for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. and the market is going to change so much during that time that I'm sure real estate is a great place to put your money and to buy. And you need to buy a home anyways. So it's in that sense, I think it's cheaper to buy a home than to rent a home in Estonia right now because of the good conditions that the banks are offering for loans. But I think right now is an okay time to buy. It's an even better time to sell. But I'm sure that whoever is looking for a home right now will be able to find something.
Most of the Europe, even in Berlin or Germany or other countries, are so much rental focused, and people do not often that buy. What's the main reason, Mihkel? They say Estonians are so much about the home belief, or they want to own the home, not instead of renting. Why is that so different?
Well, this is like quite long topic. It's probably because of our history, because during the Soviet era we didn't have much, and these days we can have everything we can possibly buy. So Estonians are thinking a little bit different than probably in like the Western Europe or the United States. But I think in the coming years or decades, this will probably start to change, as we're already seeing the number of people who prefer to rent, not to buy. It's just going up every year, partly because prices are just going up faster than they can afford. But we're seeing this globally. It's not just a local trend.
Yeah. And I believe that this is going to be the trend in the near future as well. Estonians still want to buy their home, and if the laws are a bit changing also about the renters and rentees, so we're going to see more stable rental market as well. So it's about the law as again. How would you recommend, Joshua, to choose a broker here in Estonia? If anybody just listens and thinks, okay, I need a broker, I need somebody to help me to go through it. So just to contact you or anybody else, how's that working here?
So what people usually, if I'm looking for a good place to eat, for example, I always ask my friends. That's a good indicator. If somebody has a good experience with a broker, then I'm sure that they're going to recommend that broker. That's why I strive to do my work the best as possible, because I know that if I do a good job, people will be recommending me. So I hope that if you're looking for a broker and you ask your friend, that they'll recommend me. But if you don't have a friend who has too much experience with brokers, then I'm happy to help anybody, especially foreigners. Me myself, I moved to Estonia about 25 years ago. And I know the feeling where you come to a foreign place and you don't have a place to stay. Everything's new, language. There's so many different barriers. So I really have a heart for people who are foreign and who are looking for a place to stay. And I've been happy, especially in these couple months when foreigners are coming back to Estonia. I've had the privilege to help quite many families. So really happy about that, and happy to help anybody who gets in touch with me.
Beautiful. Mihkel, just one more topic about flipping real estate. Is that something that you would recommend? If we just, I'm sure if we are going to ask Joshua to have any properties that would be suitable for flipping, what is going on in the flipping market?
Well, competition is quite tight, and it's getting harder and harder to find properties suitable to flip. And margins are getting lower, and I'd say a lot of people have already, started to look at other possible businesses in the real estate market because competition is just so high that it's nearly impossible to buy anything below the market value these days. But last year, especially in the second and third quarter, there were a lot of listings on the market that were quite cheap as fundamentally or in terms of the market value, and people who saw the potential could use it, and they're quite happy this year. But if I look at the coming months, then I don't see this trend changing. I think it's getting harder to make easy money in the real estate market, then you need to do something significantly more complex to make a nice margin.
All righty. Okay. So I picked 3 words for this overview. One of the things that really is happening is that real estate market is active in any level, rental, commercial level, residential level. We didn't actually talk much about commercial level, but in the near future we're going to talk about that too. But market is active, so we see that as supply is going and decreasing and new developments are raising, it takes a little bit of time because the market is so small in that sense. The Estonian market is really small. But it's not something unique in the world. There are more countries that are even smaller, so it's not just something unique. Or it is. We have our own potential. And the second is that the market is hopeful. And because most of the real estate, Mihkel, you can correct me, most of the real estate in Estonia is built in the Soviet time and is pretty old. Is that true?
Yes, about 85%, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
So 85% of our real estate is older than, what about 35, 40 years?
Yeah, like since 2000. We've built probably about 15% of the whole housing supply in Estonia. So
people have need for better real estate. So what we see, that's why I wrote down the word hopeful. So we are probably going to see in the future 15 to 20 years a lot of new developments and new projects. And the third word that I'm using here is challenging. So every small market has its own challenges because if you have the situation like now, supply is going down, a lot of buyers, we are not so quick to build new ones, or our market is just so vulnerable from not from only inside, also from outside. But that COVID thing actually proved that whole world is very vulnerable in that sense. Okay, guys, we have spoken today about the Estonian real estate market from here to there. We have given a short overview what's going on, and we want to help you guys to make good decisions about if you have a buying plans to buy or plans to sell or appraisal services. We have all of them. Mihkel is our licensed appraiser, and Joshua is our real estate agent. So thank you for having us, and thank you, Mihkel, for taking this time to share your knowledge, and Joshua, your time.
Thanks for inviting us, Elari.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So that was Arco Vara Real Estate Agency market overview. My name is Elari Tamm, and I am the CEO and the partner of Arco Vara Real Estate Agency. Thank you for having us. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, just let us know. We are going to answer them rapidly. So thank you, and until next time.